Welcome to the R3 Podcast, Episode 2. My name is Ryan Prazer, and why am I here? I'll tell you for why. I'm here to give you an in-depth history of me, how I started, my history in music, and what I've done up to this point. So sit back and relax as I take a trip down memory lane and present you with a history of Ryan Prazer, Part 1. So I guess my love for music could be said to come from my father, my dad, and his karaoke bar singing enterprises as I was growing up. My first experience on stage, I think, was actually 4 years old, singing Do the Bartman on stage with karaoke with him. There's a picture here of me. I think I was around 6 years old at this time. My dad on the right and my grandfather, his stepfather, on the left. From there, I had a complex childhood, but I was mostly raised by my grandparents, appreciating older music from the 60s and 70s, like Elvis, the Everly Brothers, Tom Jones, and eventually things like Eric Clapton, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, The Doors, etc. I got a history of music without really knowing it as a kid. It shaped my idea of music and performance from then on, I would say. My first guitar, I got it when I was around 16 years old, and I'd asked for it mainly because a friend at school, Daniel Heery, had been playing a lot. I'd been around his house and he was always playing and showing me stuff, and I really appreciated his skills. Excuse me. He said that he would teach me a little bit if I got one, so I got one around my birthday. A couple of months later, I was playing my first gig with him in a small community centre in Luton, around the Bushmead area. If you don't know that I'm from Luton Town, It's 30 miles away from London. It's a long history, but that's for another episode. Here's a picture of me with Daniel, me in the red shirt there with the white tie. Daniel looking confused as what's going on. I've got a baby face, no mohawk. And this was, my first gig, I guess. And from there, I actually played my first 10 or so gigs in a full suit. I learned 3 chords or something. Daniel Heery, he taught me a hell of a lot. He's now very successful. He studied at Leeds Conservatoire, and he regularly posts videos that just blow my mind in technique. He's an amazing guitarist. Check him out. He's at Daniel Heery on Instagram. But he gave me the chance to perform, explore, and learn all kinds of music in different ways, mostly through the form of covers and mashups. So we tried to work out a set, and then back then I had a very different idea for what musicians should be. In fact, let's show you a video here of me with Daniel doing Hallelujah in December of 2010. Now this is in our college. I'm just going to play a little bit. This song's called Hallelujah. Look at my hair. A little bit bigger.
I've heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the
And
Lord.
extremely
But
nervous.
you don't really care for music, do you? Well, it goes like this: the 4th, the 5th, the minor fall and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah.
Oh dear.
Hallelujah.
There you go, that of course is.
Hallelujah.
This is 10 years ago.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
I still play that song to this day, actually. I had a few very touching experiences playing Hallelujah. So at 17, I started doing gigs with various community centres and youth groups around town. There was a chance to play music in college, like I said, with friends, and we had this band room. It was set up with basses, drums, guitars, anything else we wanted. I didn't use that time as I could have, really. I was young, stupid, but I did take a lot of inspiration and influence from the young artists around me. And the teachers, they always push you to accentuate your strengths and reduce the appearance of your weaknesses, which were and probably still are many. There's some great people from a young age who, now looking back, they really did help me to be who I am today. So let's talk about the rise. So a few years went by where I was playing 20 or 30-minute sets in churches and community centres, small festivals. I played for Relay for Life, Cancer Research UK gig. And that's where Hallelujah came in. And yeah, that was some of the more touching moments on stage where I was really naive, really young, but I felt the power of music and what I could do on stage. I knew it was worth going for it, you know. But I mean, these churches and community centres, I would be in front of children and families who are more interested in like petting the donkey at the fair than seeing little noobs suited up, Ryan Prazer with a guitar, try and fail to play 3 chords and sing at the same time. I mean, I even had my own graphics. Not the best, but I kept going. I got back in touch with my father, a few of his friends, and they helped develop the roster of Heritage Associates. Now, this was a community group designed to help the local youth from different backgrounds in Luton. It's a very multicultural place. It was a chance to give them a platform, a stage, and a voice to express themselves, kind of like R3 Bar. But I'm going to show you now one of my first posters for Heritage. Yeah. So this was my first crack at graphic design, making a poster, and it's a headache. You see, it's a free youth 13 to 19-year-old event at the Hat Factory in Luton. Live music, open debate, and an open mic event for talent. Now, there is limited space available, so please call Mr. Bob Baker. So this poster, I guess it was just one of many youth events we did to try and encourage young people to come out and speak and perform and just hang out with other people. Most of these people didn't really have supportive families or necessarily families to go to. Some of them lived in youth hostels, etc. But they're great kids, man, and they had talent, and it was my job to help try and push it in some way. And I was learning as I go, learning from them as well. I mean, Heritage introduced me to the concept of coaching and the idea that you don't need to be an expert to pass on the things that you know. Like, if you know something through your own trials and tribulations, you can account for it and pass it on to someone who might help. So I was working with Heritage, a few other youth groups, to bring out the best in young dancers, singers, performers, by giving them classes and just a chance to ask me questions, like, because I'd played live. Like, I'm only a couple of years ahead of them, really. So let's talk about my first few milestones after these gigs, because it gets a bit shady. I've performed over probably 2,000 shows by this point, current day, in hundreds of venues in front of thousands of people, but my first exposure points still have that soft spot in my memory, and they are all what makes it worth it, you know, the firsts. So the firsts, through Bob and Heritage Associates, I met the people at Tropical FM, an online radio show focusing on promoting racial harmony, good vibes, and all kinds of good music. So I was invited on the Salsarah show to perform and do an interview for my first radio show. My dad was there to document it. And so let's take a look now at that and see how I looked. Okay. So there I am with my red hair. Dad with a sideways view. Oh, that red hair was bad. I look like a Lego man.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Baby Ryan.
It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone.
Pushing it too hard, son.
She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away.
It's a nervous wreck, Ryan. Let's see if he gets to the end of the song.
This time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gone to stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. In this house, stay no home. Anytime she goes away. And I know, yeah, I know. I leave a young thing alone, but ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. In the darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. She's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away.
I had those bad wristbands on my wrists for a very long time. Whew. Now, that was my first ever radio interview. Now, with Tropical FM, I actually later on started my first radio show called Rock Watch, where we interviewed local bands, where we played local music, and just hung out on a Sunday night for a couple of hours. I started performing in more places. In the park, there's a video, GMTV, with me in a hat. Yeah. I performed in a gazebo in someone's back garden. They set it up with drum kit, PA system and all. And then literally, just in someone's back garden, a few years before, with someone's birthday party, just playing a set, just because they'd asked me to. So I played everywhere I could until I started to get some recognition and find some good venues and promoters. They put me on regularly to open up their weekends, you know, like I would be the opening acoustic act. I'd play a few covers, 10 minutes or something, and then I'd play one of my songs, and then the opening act would come on, you know. I started getting more interviews and gigs eventually. A few pubs let me go and work, let me play there. But this next poster is from a huge fancy gig that I was working on for Luton Town Football Club, a fundraiser involving Mark Joseph. Now, you probably don't know who he is. He was a Lutonian drummer and songwriter that made it on his own. Had to come back and had come back to raise some money for the club and the youth development of football players in Luton Town. So I played this gig. It was such a fancy venue, and it was chandeliers on the ceiling, velvet covered tables, candles everywhere, and I got to play to Luton Town Football Club. You know, my football heroes. At the time, I was very into football. I worked for the club, so this was a good like precious moment for me. And then a few months after that, there was a big gig in Dunstable and then also in St George's Square, the main town square of Luton Town. I played with a couple of bands there, with Diverse FM, another radio show. Shortly after, with a few more dozen gigs under my belt and a little bit more confidence, I had this interview on Diverse FM with Darren Dazzler Jones, a good friend, good DJ. Let's take a look. Oh, that's a good graphic, that is. Diverse FM. Smash. The Dazzler Jones show.
Really short notice to come and help us out at the Diverse FM.
Oh, I've got a little bit of mohawk there. Yeah. Small one.
How did you think the show went and how did you think you got on?
It was absolutely beautiful, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely beautiful.
I mean, for a start, it was St George's Gate. Sorry, excuse me, tuning my guitar on air.
That's not
Nah, it was an absolute brilliant night. The massive flag, semi-skinned, ego trip, your favourite band.
That's it. Right, let's talk a little bit about you. Now, obviously you do...
Let's see what I've got to say.
You do it acoustically.
Yeah.
This is
When did you
2012.
want to go this kind of route rather than sort of joining a band?
I've never really known any other musicians, to be honest.
It's a lie.
It was pretty much always just me. And then I picked up a guitar 3 years ago, taught myself everything I know, and
That's
then
a lie.
gone from there.
Excellent. And sort of like, you know, obviously you pick it up, you go solo. Who are the kind of inspirations that you're into? Because obviously you're a young lad, you've recently...
Who are your inspirations, young Ryan?
So, you know, you are still a young guy, but who are the kind of people that you sort of really look up to in the scene?
See, I like a lot of local stuff. I mean, I've recently been hanging around with you guys at college, and they're actually in a band called Hazard. I don't know if you've heard of them.
We're
Hazard.
actually reviewing them next
Great
week
band.
on next
Oh,
week's show.
right.
You can text
Ah,
them.
that's
Let me know.
convenient.
Yeah. They're probably tuning in, to be fair.
Happy days.
But yeah, I've found that they like a lot of stuff I'm into, and they're showing me the ways of punk. And
Showing
apart
me
from
the
that,
ways of
I'm
punk.
into like my rock music.
So I would say that this is the kind of moment that I decided I was into rock and punk and metal, and I kind of came out and said it to everyone. You know, I already listened to a little bit in my spare time, but wouldn't really talk about music to my friends as such. Like a couple people knew that I played concerts and gigs and shows, but I never really spoke to them about it. I had a certain group that would come to my gigs, you know, and kept it that way. And then I started doing these interviews, meeting the bands and playing with bands. Skip forward to the end of the year, and I played in the frickin' mall, like the town centre, the shopping centre. I was on a stage, people just passing by with their kids and shopping and whatever to promote Love Luton. It was a big festival to celebrate like racial harmony and community harmony in the town, where Ollie Murs, The Wanted, and Lawson were going to come. I don't know if you know these acts, the British pop artists, pretty big. But they were going to come to town, and I was going to get to play on the same stage a few hours before them. And there is a video of it, which I will put in this video, and you can take a look at me playing She Said in front of maybe 500 to 1,000 people in 2012. So this is She Said by Ryan Prazer, circa 2012-ish.
So sad, what you said, girl, can't be right. How can you be in love with me? We only just met tonight. So she said, boy, I loved you from the start. When I first heard love goes down, something started playing in my heart. I said, stop this crazy talk. And leave right now and close the door. Oh, she said, boy, I love you, boy, I love you so. Said I love you, baby. So if you're cool, people in case you witness books. Tell the judge and jury, same thing I said to courts. And they got no mercy. I'm innocent, I'm protested. Just was rejected. And home of life, and she's obsessed. Try to sell my music, which makes her find my music. All of those diamonds lose it. Don't take her around my music. I'm saying what she would stand. No girl practice on gallery. Still bigger than a good plan. That's all my Luton's gallery. And children are like buying it. She's making me nervous. I'm supposed to face it. I'm trying it. I said something murderous. Don't look me up. The way the key. Don't send me down. Even though I told him she said, I love you, boy, yeah, I love your soul. She said, I love you, babe. Yes, she did. She said, I love you, all the words you say. She said, I love you, babe. What she said. And check me out. So my name on Facebook and Twitter, Ryan Prazer. My surname, P-R-A-Z-E-R.
Spelling your name out so people can find it. Yeah, good, nice. Professional. That was a big milestone, I guess. You know, it's a few hundred people, maybe 1,000, I don't know. That was big though. And now around this time, 2012, is when I started playing in bands. In that weekend, I played a total of 6 shows in 2 days. We'll talk about that after. For now, let's focus on my solo first. So my first time busking, I went on the streets. I had no idea what to play. I completely froze. I was looking to get a little bit of money out of work, etc., etc. But yeah, first time I went out, I froze. I couldn't do it. I stood there with the guitar. I didn't play a song for an hour. It's hard. It's very hard. I commend anybody who has the balls to go out there and stand on the street and perform to strangers. I've performed a lot of places. For some reason, busking gets me the most nervous. Second time, I pulled it off. I had a few friends. They came with me and gave me some support. I played a song, and I got paid for it. You know, someone put a few pound coins in the thing. There's a video of me doing Ain't No Sunshine on YouTube. That's in the link description below if you want to see a better version of Ain't No Sunshine. I was developing a lot, you know, with my band experience behind me. I managed to take my performances like around the area, the 3 counties area near London. I went to Essex. I performed at places like The Horn, Gray's Civic Centre in Essex. Say that when you're pissed. There was, here you go, there's a picture of me and Bill Shakespeare here. This is in the hallway of the Civic Centre in Essex, and I was supporting a girl group called Lexi, who had just won the Essex Factor. Long story short, I was contracted to play this gig, and the promoter wanted me to pay for playing after, because according to him, I should have sold tickets, and that was not in the contract. But anyway, long story short, don't ever pay to play a gig. It's silly. It's silly. It's difficult. It's very difficult. Promoters are on the edge. Bars are on the edge. Venues are on the edge. But don't take a gig where you're going to lose everything and still have to pay to play the gig. That's just suicide. But other places that I played in my time, I played the Bedford Esquires, the Hat Factory, the Castle Tavern, the George. These 2 places in particular were like my home. There every week doing DJ sessions, playing with people, jumping up on stage with other bands that I knew. Camden, I played in Camden, a couple of bars there, proud. I played in the Trestle Arts Theatre upon its opening with a headline gig. I did some talent shows. So for a while, I did the UK Unsigned Talent Contest, UK Open Mic Talent Contest. There was talent shows at G Casino, a chain of casinos in Britain, and I came second and then third and then first in a few of them. I did a massive festival called Gilwell. It's a Scouts festival in front of like 2,000 Scouts, Cubs, Bears, 14 to 18-year-olds. That was brilliant. Unfortunately, I don't have any pictures or videos still from that time. But I even auditioned for the X Factor at one point, and here's a picture of that, me getting through the first couple of rounds with a couple of my friends that I'd gone with in my black and white trousers. Fun fact, my arse was on X Factor for 1.8 seconds. Yeah, they used a shot. They spent the whole day filming with me when I went to do the X Factor, obviously because of a mohawk and the trousers and the style. And I was playing with people in the crowd. There's 100,000 people auditioning a day, right? Standing in a queue outside for 24 hours. And after 18 hours, maybe, they filled the quota for 6 hours of people, maybe 40,000 people, maybe more. Definitely aren't going to get a place, but they hang around anyway. it's an experience. You go and you play with all the people in the crowd, you sing with them, you talk about their lives and what they've done and what they hope to get from the audition, whether they're there just to audition and support a friend, which I was, or whether they're there to strike fame, you know. How much people believed in themselves, I guess you will never know, because it's a very high hysterical atmosphere. But it was fun, it was great fun, good experience, but not worth it in the long run, I would say. My first music video came because of Bedfordshire University. I was working with some students there, and they put this up for me. Role models. My first music video. Let's take a look.
Meet Teresa. She's got money for the poor, but she's a good example of a child. Then there's Noah. He's got his bloody ark. He thinks he's hard, but he's a fool. These are the models we're supposed to take. But I say to you, what happens when these role models are fake? These are the people to believe in, but the footsteps of these role models will fade. They'll fade. Hail Joseph, he's got his colored coat, but he'll boast that the world owes him. Hates Judas, 'cause he betrayed your only king. But he's the one that forgave your sins. These are the models we're supposed to take. But I say to you, what happens when these role models are fake? These are the people to believe in, but the footsteps of these role models will fade. And the world will burn.
Ooh, moody. Ooh. Performed by Ryan Prazer, director Ashley Reyes. So thank you to the people at Beds Uni, I guess, for that one. Right, let's take a look. What else can I show you? I got a little bit into that one, I'm sorry. What are we doing now? The Evolution of Ryan Prazer.
My name is Ryan Prazer. I'm 21 years old. I'm a singer-songwriter. I just did an acoustic set there. I'm coming back on later on to do a set with my band, who are a metal band, Lost Whilst Live. My company, Events Music Management Limited, has also sponsored the event, and I'm just here all day trying to help the event go smoothly. My acoustic stuff, I do covers that fit the venue, but I also write my own original songs, which are kind of dark, broody, although I do have a whole range of things that I can do and have done. Yeah, I played the Scout Festival, Gilwell Park, in front of 2,000 scouts. That's my biggest gig this year, so yeah, they're getting big now.
Interview with young Ryan Prazer, 21 years old. So I'm 21. I've got a company, Events Music Management. Basically, I just wanted a brand to stick on all of the gigs and community events I was doing with my dad. He helped me get me and my company in as sponsors for the Luton Mela 2015's World Stage, #I'mOn2, which we ran with Tropical FM. Remember those guys? This, apart from the Gilwell 24 experience, was probably the best gig day of my life to date. So those were the best gig days of my life, probably most of my firsts. I've missed a lot, but they will be covered in some other videos down the line. There's a second part to this. Let's go into band life.
1, 2, 3, 4!
Here's my band, Lost Whilst Live. So it's a splintered history that I've given you. There are parts I've missed and parts I plan to talk about later on, but one story that I definitely had to share with you all is my first real band, Lost Whilst Live. Now, we met in 2011, 2012, going to different gigs and various nights out, all right? We started out as like punks in a garage, you know, rehearsing 3-chord songs, trash, calling David Cameron and whichever politician to see you next Tuesday. My role at first was as manager. All right? I loved the stuff that we were doing. I was helping write some of the stuff. Having befriended most of the band in college and having a little bit of experience playing live shows, I decided to join in as manager. But here you see a picture of us playing while I was covering on guitar. Harry Thompson there on vocals. We got Tom on guitar on the left, Greg on the right, and Tom on drums too. I helped book shows and promote the band a little bit, giving ideas for songs and lyrics at rehearsals, working closely with Harry Thompson, going around his house, seen here. I occasionally stepped in on guitar or bass when someone couldn't turn up to a gig. You know, they were playing so often that not everyone could always make it from work or girlfriends or whatever. So let's take a look at a Lost Whilst Live video with Harry on vocals and me as the manager. Dictate Me. See me in the front there? So the link's in the video. If you haven't seen it, I'll stamp it. All right, that's enough of that. So that is Lost Whilst Live Dictate Me from a very bad recording. That's from someone's phone or bad camera at the time. I mean, we all had our ideas of how the band should work. I've said that before. And so many times, as brothers do, we fell out, of course. I mean, after moshing and playing shows together for so long, me as a supporting acoustic act mostly, Lost Whilst Live and others would headline. Hazard we mentioned, Subset, Reversal, there was others that would be there. Here's a picture of me, Heery, moshing out with Romain on the guitar from Subset. Awesome, awesome band, check them out. They've helped me greatly throughout the years as well, giving me some sound advice. Romain is a brother to the life, always. But for a couple of years, the brotherhood between me and Heery began to turn into bitterness. After a couple of shows had gone badly, it sort of gave us a bad rep with promoters. Me, as the manager, I asked the rest of the band whether Heery should still be in there after certain behaviors, after certain things happened. We decided to kick him out, and I would be the new singer. After a couple of iffy shows, we wrote some new material and started performing what we would call alt rock or metal with some punk, I guess. That was our official title, which moved away from the 3-chord songs and started my way down the rock vocalist path. I started practicing screaming, sometimes poorly. There's a picture of me sliding with the bass. I was playing bass, singing, playing guitar and singing. There's a video here of my first time singing Time to Wake Up, one of our first songs, maybe a month after we wrote it. Let's take a look. It's a PDM show. They're a very good promotion in Luton. They helped develop me and a lot of other talent. Got a lot to be thankful for.
A month's work. Doesn't sound like a lot, but like that. But basically, we've been writing new songs because we were punk and now we want to do different stuff. So, yeah, this song's called Time to Wake Up.
Whoa. That's not how it should sound. For reference, this is an acoustic version we did a little bit later on. It sounds...
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's how it goes. What a difference 3 years makes from 1 month.
The darkness is a lack of light which I choose to reside in.
All right, you can check that out on the Lost Whilst Live YouTube channel. I'll put the links in the description below again so that you can see it. But yeah, that was my life, man. I was a band guy. I loved this band. We got together in my garage and I decided that we needed to record a single. You know, like that one killer song that could be played on the radio and stuff. Yeah, this was it. It's called Miracle. It's the first song I ever recorded and mixed with myself with no real knowledge of what I was doing. There's some MIDI drums on there, sometimes off, the effects on, everything. But what do you think? This is in 2013. The lyric video is made by a good friend of ours, Josh. He was my partner on Rockwash. He is also one of our key workers. Thank you so much for your hard work. Respect, brother. There's only so much I can listen to myself, but that is Miracle. That was the first music video, the first song that I ever recorded and sort of mixed and mastered myself with the band in our garage. And in that year, we played our first headline gig in 2013 at the newly opened Trestle Art Space, a kind of place like our 3 bar, except with a lot more funding involved. It was a brilliant gig. We smashed it. We had some new songs, and it was one of the best gigs that we ever did. You know, it gave us real confidence. We got a stage, a banner, and even lights. It was a badass show. And here's another brilliant shot from it. Yeah, scream your heart out, son. Eventually, Lost Whilst Live became splintered again. Until around 2015, when we got together, made a resurgence with a new lineup and even more badass songs like chunky, heavy riffs. This time, we kind of took the Lost Whilst Live name seriously and played freely on stage. Like, we joked around, we found our freedom a little bit, and then eventually, like, we got a bit ahead of ourselves. You know, we played some unrehearsed shows. It was fun but stressful, and the work hadn't really been put in by everyone. I suck at bass. I suck at practicing too. So yeah, we had a few bad shows in a row, so our resurgence wasn't quite what we wanted it to be. But there's a couple of good clips, a couple of good shots of us. There's a clip here I'm going to take a look at, and it is Most Haunted. So this was our intro song, and it starts with "Here's a story of a man." Now let's see what version I did this time.
One scarlet fox a pink, bacon strips, haunted. He's the most
Yeah, noise. Noise, noise, noise.
What's up with Lost Whilst Live?
Nice. So that's Lost Whilst Live, performing live. It's another picture of us performing live at the Mela. Some beautiful shots. I mean, we weren't the most polished act. We had loads of mistakes. We fucked up some of the songs that we perfected so many times, but it was fun. It was love. We loved what we did. We loved going out there. We performed at our home venue a few times at the castle, and then at the Luton Mela, which saw a bad performance from me on one song, and then a smashing performance on the next song, you know? So I was nervous, but at least I looked good. Come on, come on, come on. But now, of course, all good things come to an end. And around 2016, it was time for me to leave Luton and find something new. So I asked my friends at the George's II pub if I could host a leaving party there. And they said yes. It was awesome. It was a resurgence of the scene from 2012 and 13, and all the great people I'd met along the way. The guys I met at every venue along the way all came through at one point or to another show. Like they came and showed their love for me and for what I did for as many people as I could. It was really, really freaking special. We had a big gig with 2 acoustic acts and 2 bands to say goodbye. It was Charlie Manning, myself, Lack, and Lost Whilst Live. But the best part of it all, though, was that during my first acoustic set, who should walk in? Harry Thompson and Tom, the bassist, from the original lineup. I was in bits after I saw that, after all of our years of feuding. I mean, Harry'd even made another band. At one point, we were trying to compete, and after all of that, all of the bullshit, they came back to say goodbye. Not only that, but during the band set, Harry got up and sang with me on one of our original songs that we wrote all those years ago in that garage. Who cares about diamond rings? We'll carry on with our lives. After all the childish years of nonsense, the brotherhood prevailed. And when it seemed like we wouldn't see each other again, neither of us wanted to leave that air with like a bad taste. So we made up, we hugged it out, and then we screamed out one more song to go in a blaze of glory. Caged. Do this, follow here, like a robot. Rocky. It was truly the highlight of my Lost Whilst Live career. And to top it all off, like a few days later, on my last day in the town, like I was moving on my life, I got a visit from another Tom, this time the drummer, who's now currently in a band called When We Wake. Please check them out, their links will be down here. And he presented me with this. Now I'm gonna get this in shot properly because I suck at technology. There we go. Now this, as I'll put another picture, there's a picture here too, I'll put that there. Is a compilation of all the hard work that we put in over, 5 years, from 2011 to 2016, in the form of this photo, with all of our photo shoots and the logos that I made, the things that I'd organised over the years. Him and his long-term partner surprised me with this on the day that I was supposed to leave. So thank you, Tom and Daniela. It's still with me, it's still in my bar, and it's a part of me, truly. I am grateful for the lessons in life I had with the band. Lost Whilst Live will live forever in my heart. I'm sorry we never got to where we wanted to go, but then I guess we never would be here, would we? Thank you for listening to the history of Ryan Prazer. That was the end of part 1. Let me know what you thought of, my life. Subscribe on Anchor FM and Spotify for this podcast, and also look out for the video version, obviously, on the R3 Network YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, give me a like, share your thoughts in the comments. Stay safe, stay healthy, peace, love, and respect, always.
Like a robot.